This is PRIME7 Local News.
Tonight, a man killed in a tragic tree-crushing accident in Wagga. Local politicians demand answers over the sale of a state government asset.
I'm Kirsty Fitzpatrick. Later this news hour, the dire warning about our cost of living and the narrow escape as a 10-tonne concrete truck slams into a home.
Now, PRIME7 Local News.
Good evening. Tragedy has struck on a property just outside of Wagga this afternoon, with a man killed in what appears to have been a freak accident. Emergency services flocked to the Gregadoo property early this afternoon, but it's believed the patient was already deceased when they arrived. Let's bring in Penny Burford now for more on this. And Penny, what do we know so far?
Maddie, details are still emerging, but at this stage what we do know is that tragically a man was killed on a farm here on Boiling Down Road this afternoon. Initial reports suggest a huge tree branch fell and struck the man, who died at the scene. Police confirmed the fatality this afternoon and are currently investigating the incident. Emergency services, including the VRA, police and ambulance, attended. The incident was phoned in a little before 1 p.m. Paramedics were not required to treat any patient at the scene. Early reports suggest the incident was an unfortunate accident. More information is expected to be released on this in coming hours. Maddie.
Thanks for the update, Penny. Penny Burford there. Wagga's local and state politicians will unite to demand answers from the state government around the controversial sale of a local ambulance station.
A demand for answers. Wagga Council last night unanimously supporting a motion to formally request the government explain why the city paid $610,000 for the historic ambulance station. Leaders initially told token asset sales were no longer allowed under a government policy, a policy that didn't seem to apply in Armidale last month when they acquired their courthouse for $1. One local leader defending the decision.
Some of the other sites aren't of a similar nature.
Nationals MLC Wes Fang advising those dissatisfied with Wagga's treatment to
perhaps just sit down and say thank you.
But former Mayor Greg Conkey, Wagga MP Joe McGurr and the current sitting council aren't willing to do that.
And I'm fully aware that those four locations that I mentioned were all National Party seats.
So we'll be going back and asking for an explanation as to how we've ended up in this position.
And I don't see why the community here that raised all the funds all those many years ago, gifted it to the government, should then have to pay to get it back if that's not the case for other buildings elsewhere.
Dr McGurr has directly approached the Premier for answers which have so far not been forthcoming. In a response last week, New South Wales Health ignored our key questions, including why assets in coalition seats were secured for $1 and how the price reduction is decided under government policy. We've asked for clearer answers but have yet to receive a response. The site requires about $400,000 worth of renovations, making the total cost to ratepayers around $1 million. Penny Burford, PRIME7 News.
The body of a missing Leeton grandmother has been found more than 2 weeks after her disappearance. 83-year-old Barbara Wilson was last seen at her Leeton home on May the 28th. Her family reported her absence to police yesterday, who commenced an investigation. Just after 9:30 this morning, Miss Wilson's body was located at Whitton, approximately 20 kilometres from her hometown. The Fair Work Commission today announced minimum wage will increase by 5.2% from next month. As of July the 1st, the minimum hourly rate will be $21.38, up by more than $1 from $20.33. Riverina businesses say the hike will sting. Wages are already the biggest outgoing cost at cafes like Wagga's Best Street. They concede, however, it's a fair move by the regulator.
A living wage and something that is something that someone can live on and actually participate in the economy is quite necessary for staff to consider roles like this for themselves moving forward. Award
rates will also go up by 4.6% under the changes. Riverina residents are urged to use electricity sparingly as an energy crisis grips multiple states. While the message is not to compromise on warmth where it's needed, particularly for the elderly and children, the current demand versus supply rates have authorities on edge. The best advice: choose another jumper or a blanket before cranking the heater, and turn lights and televisions off if you leave the room. The matter of a Wagga man who's been effectively expelled from the city due to an alleged serious assault has returned to court. Anthony Shane Hagan is facing 1 count of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. The 26-year-old is under strict bail conditions to reside in Tweed Heads in northern New South Wales. Hagan is not to enter Wagga or come within 100 kilometres of the area. He's also not to drink alcohol or take drugs. The matter will return to court on June 29. On World Elder Abuse Day, a shocking statistic has come to light. 50 elderly people around Australia are abused every week, and those are just the cases that are reported.
The most vulnerable in our community falling victim to elder abuse.
We have to have these conversations because I think I've gone from 1 call a week to getting 4 or 5.
The financial, emotional, physical and even sexual abuse of older people is more prevalent than some may realise, exacerbated by the pandemic and staff shortages. Today especially a chance to highlight how big of an issue it is.
And I just want everyone on board and everyone talking about this. We can no longer hide and say it's not happening. It is happening, it's real.
Over the past 5 years, there's been a 50% jump in family violence calls to Victoria Police involving those aged over 65. There's an average of 50 sexual abuse cases in aged care across the country per week, and in more than half of those cases, staff reported no physical or psychological impact.
Up to 1 in 6 older Australians will experience some form of abuse in a year. That's a pretty frightening statistic, I think.
Advocates hope this campaign will initiate real significant change at government levels and educate the community, shedding light on issues that exist in the shadows.
We've got a repeat issue here, and we need education, we need awareness, and we need legislation in place to protect people.
I've talked a lot at the individual level, but it's also government level action, and it's inexcusable that our Attorneys General have agreed, but nothing has actually happened.
Claire Sienta, PRIME7 News.
An iconic Riverina hotel with a quirky sales history is on the hunt for new owners. A previous attempt to give away the property in a lottery-style sale was brought to a grinding halt. But now Hotel Shirley is officially on the market.
Stepping back in time to the late 1800s, stone walls, ornate ceilings, marble mantles. Bethungra's Hotel Shirley is up for grabs.
She's got so much character. You know, the building itself is just stunning with the character.
The site has a rich history from its establishment in 1886 as the local watering hole, and more recently an attempted sale in 2018 garnering global attention. Current owners Robin and Alan Cox taking $100 pledges from interested buyers to pitch their plans for Shirley's future in a bid to win her ownership. But New South Wales Fair Trading vetoed the exchange, claiming applicants didn't have certain qualifying skill sets.
The government had decided that the process we had chosen to go down was actually too easy.
Now the hotel is on the commercial market with huge potential.
It's such a rare opportunity to purchase something so iconic in the Riverina.
If you purchase this property, you won't just be getting a grand building. There's a whole raft of opportunities awaiting just outside across nearly 2 acres of land.
A restaurant, a B&B, a wedding venue, a function centre. I'm thinking that in the future, you know, she could be practically anything with the way the world is today. You know, we've had people suggest wellness centres.
Whatever the next venture, it's hoped the site's historic significance continues to shine.
It's just a magnificent building. It's very unique. And if you can find a purpose for it, it guarantees the survival of the building.
Jessica McLaughlin, PRIME7 News.
Applications for exhibitors are officially opened as the Henty Machinery Field Days fast approaches. It was hoped this year's event could benefit from the recently erected 5G mobile phone tower, bringing a new level of connectivity to the site. But it won't be in operation until next year. But there is a new attraction. An after-hours ticketed event will see star performances by Brooke McClymont and Adam Eckersley take to the stage.
We'd love to see all those companies that we've had previously return, obviously. There was a lot of emerging businesses that came up during COVID, so there's plenty of new things to see as well.
All the fan favourites like dog trials, produce markets, helicopter joyrides and much, much more will still be on offer. Applications for exhibitors close on July 31. Well, it's time now for a quick check of the weather with Kirsty Fitzpatrick. And Kirsty, it wasn't too bad out there today.
No, that's right, Maddie. We did see patches of blue sky today. Good evening, everyone. A little sunshine scattered throughout the region today. A little nice break from the otherwise overcast conditions. Temperatures reached the low teens. Wagga today, a maximum of 14 degrees. In Tumbarumba, a little cooler. We had a maximum of 12 degrees and Talbingo reaching 11. Winds were out of the north and the northwest, reaching speeds around 20 kilometres an hour. They did become a little gusty into the afternoon. Into the late afternoon and early this evening, though, we have seen a rain band move through the region. Some of us have already seen some drizzly weather, and that is forecast to continue into tomorrow as well as throughout tonight. We'll have more of those details coming up a little later on, Maddie.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Kirsty. See you then. Still to come in PRIME7 local news, the remarkable items found at the bottom of Lake Mulwala and Wagga's Country Women's Association knitting to make a difference.
And later this news hour, inflation forecasters saw the Reserve Bank's dire warning for a cost of living reality check. What's being done to keep your lights on? More on the electricity drama. A driver injured after smashing a concrete mixer into his house. And the big changes coming to Instagram, giving parents more power.
A Yarrawonga man who lost his wallet 5 months ago has got it back thanks to an eagle-eyed Good Samaritan. The wallet, with cash still inside, is one of many treasures now being revealed thanks to the draining of Lake Mulwala.
Raymond Bunkle got the shock of his life on Monday morning when an unexpected knock at the door revealed his long-lost wallet had been found. The 32-year-old with Down syndrome lost his wallet when it slipped out of his pocket at Lake Mulwala in January.
Yes, he won it back, yes. And Raymond was over the moon when he just grabbed it and bolted. And the poor man, I don't know what the poor man must have thought, but anyway. But yeah, no, I was just really overwhelmed for him, so it was really good.
With Raymond's Christmas money and cards still inside, it was found by a school teacher's 12-year-old son and his friend on the Queen's birthday.
Just the kind people, that would just hand it over. It was really just upset me, actually, because I just... Well, you just don't see that every day, but there are nice, kind people out in the world.
From chairs, tables, phones and shopping trolleys to Raymond's wallet and this speedboat behind me, the empty lake has uncovered a treasure trove of lost items.
The wallet is not the only sunken treasure found in the dry lake bed. West Wyalong's Mark Sutton found some fishing gear and a phone that were lost when he fell into the lake while fishing from his kayak 11 months ago. Mr. Bunkle, meanwhile, is preparing to say thanks to the young men that found his wallet.
And while who would have thought that a wallet would have been sitting there waiting to be picked up. So, yeah, it's just incredible.
Jessica Whitty, PRIME7 News.
Members of Wagga's Country Women's Association are using one of their best skills to help the homeless. Members picked up their wool and knitting needles today, making scarves, beanies, gloves and socks that will be donated to the dozens of families currently camping out in the cold at Wilkes Park. The CWA is also gathering other warm clothes to donate to those in need.
We help charities, all sorts of charities that we can, but especially local, and it's a very cold winter.
The group will be knitting for the next 5 weeks, also partnering with Wagga Kind, who are working at increasing heating options down at the North Wagga campground. Still to come in PRIME7 local news, a top rugby league player sidelined with a devastating injury and a major blow as the Phantoms are forced to withdraw from series first grade competition.
Welcome back. Marquee Gundagai recruit Nathan Rose is facing a lengthy stint on the sideline after tearing his bicep. The game-changing 5'8" is expected to require surgery after suffering the painful injury in the Tigers' 44-10 victory over South City. He's been the club's top try scorer and second most prolific point scorer behind James Luff. Premiership-winning playmaker Tyrone Gorman will replace Rose in the halves. Leighton's much-hyped comeback to Southern Inland Rugby's top grade has come to a disappointing end. A crippling shortage of personnel has forced the club to withdraw from first grade to focus solely on fielding a second grade lineup for the remainder of the season.
After a season contesting only thirds, the return to Seru's top grade while also fielding a second grade lineup was always going to be a tall order for the Phantoms. But add in a horrifying run of injuries, shocking flu season and increasing work commitments, and the task proved insurmountable.
We were finding it difficult to put two teams on the paddock each week. So the logical decision for us was to drop back to one team and so we can offer a pathway for our juniors.
Southern Inland Rugby has agreed to allow Leighton to withdraw from first grade and only compete in second grade for the rest of the season. Player welfare was a big factor in the club's request to contest the lower division. The Phantoms have a contingent of under 18-year-olds in their second grade ranks, and the club didn't want to put their safety at risk.
Pulling back to second grade also because of the younger boys that come through, because they're the future of the club, and we don't want to let them go to like other AFL or rugby leagues.
Rather give them a pathway into senior rugby via second grade, and then in due course, hopefully, we can make it back to first grade.
The Phantoms failed to record a win in either grade through the opening 8 rounds, but won't give up on a return to the top division in 2023.
At the moment, though, for us, it's mainly just consolidation. Let's get through the remainder of this season.
All first grade games due to be played against the Phantoms will now become byes. Steph Muir, PRIME7 News.
Football Wagga has stripped South Wagga of its Pasco Cup victory over Tumut. An investigation into the Round 8 clash found the Warriors played a small number of players against the Eagles who weren't on the online team sheet. South Wagga maintained the mistake occurred as a result of an administrative error with the new online system. The Warriors were disqualified from the clash and Tumut was awarded a 3-0 win. Kulingali's own AFL hero Harry Perriman is facing an indefinite stint on the sideline after suffering a broken ribs in the Giants' win over North Melbourne. The 23-year-old was taken to hospital after a brutal second quarter collision with Kangaroos midfielder Flynn Perez. Scans cleared Perriman of internal injuries but revealed 4 broken ribs. The club says the tough midfielder will be closely monitored over the coming weeks. Star Wagga triathlete Radka Karlefelt has finished on the podium in her first event back in more than 2 years. The mum of 2 will now prepare to conquer the ultimate sporting test.
A true Iron woman, Radka Karlefelt is already back on deck at the Wagga Swim Hub, just days after booking her spot at one of the most brutal sporting events on the planet.
I had to confirm already my spot on the next day, and that's when you can't even walk because you're so tired. Everyone who was accepting the slots and the ceremony, everyone is like walking like a 1-year-old baby.
The professional triathlete and former Olympian secured a berth at the Ironman World Championship in Kona after making a stunning comeback in Cairns. Despite tackling the full Ironman distance for the first time at the Asia Pacific Championship, the inspirational athlete managed to race home to a podium finish in her first event in almost 2.5 years.
Congratulations! Our second place champion here, Ironman ATP, Radka Karlefelt, you are Ironman!
Adding to the moment, the proud mum of 2 was swiftly embraced by her littlest fans.
Within the loop, I was crossing one spot twice, so I saw them 8 times, which was just the best. And I could see like Indies happy in the pram, Ruby's cheering. It was just amazing, the best thing ever.
The family was encouraged to recreate Radka's finish with gorgeous results.
There's a photo.
Radka will now take a well-deserved 2-week break before returning to training ready for Hawaii in October.
Only thing I've learned, if I would push less on the bike, I could probably execute my run better. That's why I can have another go in Kona.
Steph Muir, PRIME7 News.
Still to come in PRIME7 local news, Kirsty Fitzpatrick will be back with your local weather details. Good evening, everyone. High pressure is helping skies remain clear and mostly sunny for the north of the state, while in the south, a trough is forecast to bring some showers between now and Friday. High pressure will then return into our weekend with another burst of blue skies before the next wet weather system arrives early next week. That system could bring around 10 to 15 millimetres across the southwest slopes over the coming 8 days or so. On to tomorrow, though. For our Thursday, we are expecting another day of fairly overcast skies. Showers around 2, beginning overnight and then tracking into tomorrow afternoon. We could see up to 5 millimetres of rain with intermittent showers expected right across the day. Adelong fairly mild overnight with 7 degrees, reaching a top of 13 with west to northwesterly winds. Cootamundra also a top of 13 degrees. Another mostly cloudy day is expected on Friday. Temperatures around the low teens for most of us. There we go, just tracking through to Friday now. Lockhart expecting 14 degrees and the same for Wagga Wagga. West Wyalong, the mid-teens, but that blanket of cloud covering most of the region. We will see fog likely in the early morning and some light winds around at Grenfell. 13 degrees the maximum there, and Selwyn a top of 6. On to Saturday, as that high pressure system does become more dominant, we'll see much more sunshine. The mid-teens around Narrandera, even 16 degrees at Griffith as we track through to the start of our weekend, and a slight increase in our overnight temperatures as well. Another day of light winds, Tumut reaching 15 degrees with sunshine around, and in Harden a maximum of 13. Looking ahead to the next 7 days now, a clear and mostly fine weekend is on the way as well. Temperatures increasing with a top of 16 degrees on the way for Sunday and Monday. We can see that next burst of showers into next week, arriving though through Tuesday and Wednesday. Fortunately, a lovely, nice and mildly warm weekend before some more wet weather arrives, Maddie.
Yeah, looking good for the next few days. Thanks, Kirsty. See you later. And that's your local news for tonight. Right now, though, Kirsty is back with your national news. I'll see you tomorrow.